What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. This is Joaquin Corrales, and in this video we're going to talk about what type of store you should create, and we're actually going to begin on creating our online store. So when it comes down to thinking about what type of store you could create, I'm referring to one of or two things, right? So the first type of store is a niche store, and what that means is that your store sells things based around a specific niche. Like, for example, if you're in the kitchen niche, then your store would sell things related to the kitchen. Now, the second type of store that we could create is a general store. Now, the cool thing about the general stores is that you could sell a variety of different things. Now, when it comes down to starting your first online store, maybe you already have a store that's a niche store, and that's totally fine. Or maybe you already have something in mind that you want to sell. And if you do, then that could work and you could go with a niche store. But if you're a complete beginner, and even if you're maybe not, I also recommend that you go with a general store. And the reason why I recommend that you go with a general store is because you're going to be able to figure out what types of products sell the best for you, right? Using Facebook advertisement, and then be able to create a niche store later on out of that if you want to. Because if you create a niche store, then you're kind of fixed to selling things of that niche. Whereas if you create a general store, you could sell items from a whole bunch of different niches to see which ones sell the best, right? So now that you know that, and now that you have a better idea of whether you should go with a niche store versus a general, I recommend general if you're just starting off. And even today, a lot of my stores are general stores, simply due to the fact that I like to go out and find different items and test them out and see if they're selling. And then what I did was that once I figured out that a specific type of item was selling very well in my stores, then I created a niche store that was only based around those items. That's not to say that if you already have a store, maybe you have some things in mind that you want to sell, that you can't just go straight onto that. You could do that as well. That could be extremely effective, because really what it comes down to is how are you advertising these products. And we're going to be using some of the best strategies coming up right now in 2018, right? This is a super updated course that you guys are looking at right now, and I'm also going to be keeping this course updated all throughout, right, to make sure you guys have the latest info on here. So after you kind of decided that, let's start creating our store now. Let's do the initial step in creating our store. So I'm going to put a URL somewhere on this screen. Make sure that you guys go to that URL to sign up for your online store. So after you go there, it's going to ask you for an email address. So just go ahead and put in an email address. Then it's going to ask you for a password and then your store name. Now, when it comes to your store name, it does not matter if you're doing a niche store or a general store. The store name is really not important. And the reason why the store name is not important is because we're going to be masking it with a domain. So later on in the same module, we're going to talk about how you're going to be able to link a domain to your store. So forget about the store name right now. Not a big deal. I'm just going to put Joaquin's Test Store. It's not a huge deal. And I'm going to hit on Create Store. And now it's going to do its things here, and then it's going to create the store. And there you go. Now you have your online store created. Within the next couple of videos, we're going to work on really getting all the kinks and whistles of this store connected properly so that we're ready to sell. Here on tell us a little bit about yourself. It's not important. Just choose whatever applies to you. And then it's going to take you right inside to the dashboard. And what we do after that is really what determines how effective our online store is. And we're going to do that in the next video.